Marathons to 5 and 10Ks can be a tough old transition, so let's discuss it. So often people can feel quite lost after they've done a big block of marathon training, completed that big goal that they've been working towards for so long. And one great strategy can often be to switch it up and train for shorter distances. It's something I love to do, and I know it's something a lot of you guys love to do as well. But often there can be some pitfalls that we fall into during that transition. So today I want to sit down and chat with you guys about 6 of the things that I like to focus on when I'm doing this 5 and 10K transition from marathon training. Now, when I do a max effort marathon, which is basically where I just give it absolutely everything, I tend to take a full week off afterwards and then start back with just pure easy running, and then the following week I will sprinkle in some moderate running and start the first workout, where the week after I'll start my proper training. So it's usually week 3 or 4 where I really start to get into things. But that first workout back, where I just want to dabble with a little bit of speed and do something a bit safer, it tends to be something like 10 by 1 minute on, 1 minute off. It's a really basic workout, and I give myself a range from usually 10 to 15. Now, post London Marathon, it's slightly different. I did 20, and that's mainly because I didn't give it a max effort. It just didn't end up being the race I wanted it to be. But in previous times, it's always been between 10 and 15. The flexibility element is I can get to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 reps and just go, do you know what? That's enough. Because the intervals are short enough for me to feel like I can get some good completed work done, but easy enough to just bail mid-workout if I feel it's too much. And I think having that flexibility in those early days is good for you to feel satisfied that you've got some good work in, but also give you, as I said, a bit of freedom to cool it when you feel like it may or may not be too much. And the second thing I want to talk about is keeping my training very clean. That's a word that I've heard used lately, and that's more just to define the fact that I'm keeping my easy days easy and my hard days hard. What I sometimes do in full trainings, I might have some easy runs, some moderate runs, a bit of tempo running, some threshold running, some really fast stuff, and I might mix all of that in across maybe a 10 to 14 day cycle. But what I like to do in the first 2 or 3 or 4 weeks even is really just go easy and then hard. Keep the easy days easy and hard days hard. Now, just as a good example, right now I'm, 4 weeks post London Marathon, and I have started back in full training. I've got a double threshold day where I'm keeping that very hard and using that as my long run day because I'm covering a lot of miles. I also have a faster than goal race pace effort type of session, VO2 max session if you want to call it that, where I'm working faster than my goal race pace, and at the moment everything else is easy, and that's the way I intend to keep it just for the moment. I don't want to overload the body, and I think it's really important to remember that our bodies have been through a lot over the past 10, 14, 16, 18, 20 weeks of training, plus that big marathon effort. If it's a good hard max effort, we need to just tread carefully. Our bodies are still recovering. I have often found in the past it can take a good 6 weeks for me to start to feel normal again, and so I tend to, in the early days, just go through the motions within these workouts. So in this early stage, it's not about getting back to that full kind of complex training structure, shall we say, where I'm incorporating everything that I normally would. I just try and keep it very clear and concise, get the work done, and then when it really starts to click and I feel good again, that's when I start to get back to my usual training schedule. And the third thing, really hammering home drills and strides here. Oh my life, I watched myself back on my Summer Speed episode 1 video from last weekend, and my word, I'm looking very sloppy and bad form on those drills and strides. So last year I got a bit of a dab hand at them, got a pro, felt really good at doing them before every single workout, and it really did help. It promoted good cadence, good form, activated all the muscles before I went and did my workout. So I did my drills, got all those done, and then did a few strides, just light uphill strides before getting into my workout, and I instantly felt sharp and snappy. Rather than feeling sluggish before getting into a workout, I just felt good from the off. That is something that just came back to me so quickly after I did it last week, but my form was absolutely terrible. So again, just getting back to those every single week before every single workout. It's something that I'm doing twice a week at the moment, usually before my morning double threshold session and then before my faster than race pace session or VO2 max session. Just incorporating those twice a week again is really already helping me. I've done them 4 times now effectively, because this is the end of week 2 of my training. And this morning when I did them, when I got my faster than race pace session done, they felt so much better, so much easier, and they flowed a lot more. So again, just can't hammer that one home enough. Really good to get into that habit. So not doing too much too soon is the fourth thing that I want to mention. It kind of follows on from point number 2 actually, where I'm trying to keep my training clean, and I do recommend it with you guys as well. So when I am in full flow with my sort of 5 and 10K training, I'm often doing 3 workouts a week, usually a Tuesday, a Thursday and a Saturday. And they can be a variety of different types of workouts, and usually the third one is popping some kind of speed within a long run, and I can usually handle that just fine. But obviously I'm very aware that in these early stages, when you are transitioning from marathon training into this shorter distance stuff, me and you have not been putting in that sort of intensity in our body for quite a while now. So if we just jump straight back into that training full flow, it's going to be really tough. I'm currently sticking to 2 days and keeping those 2 days where they are, the double threshold day and the speedy day. Other than that, everything else is nice and calm. And I probably won't incorporate 3 workouts a week for probably a good 4, 5, 6 weeks maybe, and I might just start to incorporate that later in the end of June, before leading into the goal race that I've got in this block, and then beyond from there. So for me at the moment, it's just really important just to keep in my mind, as much as I want to get back into that full training flow and get all these workouts under my belt and start feeling really fast again. Patience is key for the longevity of the year. I had personally a bit of a rough start, so I'm hoping to finish it strong. And for you guys as well, getting out of the marathon phase and into this speed block, if you guys are doing that, is just such a key point to getting the foundations right now in these early weeks, so that you can set yourself up for some really good training in the following weeks. And number 5, I focus a little bit more on recovery in these first few weeks. I am quite hyper aware of trying to look after myself, whether that's foam rolling, whether that's the massage gun, whether that's stretching. I use a Pure Sport muscle balm as well. You guys might use it too, or you might use any anti-inflammatory stuff like Tiger Balm or whatever else that you might sort of rub on the muscles post session. Also trying to eat well after a session as well. I'm just very aware, and I think you guys need to be aware too, that what we go through over those 26.2 miles, that fatigue that we generate as we go through the race, it doesn't leave our bodies instantly, and all those little micro tears in the muscles that we create along the way, maybe in particular if we've had quite a bad race, this is something that's happened to me too, and we kind of hit the wall in the last period of the race, been there plenty of times, our form goes sloppy and we shuffle to the end. At that point we're not carrying ourselves properly, muscles aren't working in the right way, we might get muscle knots. Booking a massage is always something I recommend post-marathon as well, just to get everything ironed out before getting back into full training. I just think recovery at this stage is really key. We can often overdo it. It's very easy to overdo it in these early stages. So if we're not thinking about looking after our body here, again, we're just potentially jeopardizing the longevity of this upcoming training block. So just think about what you could be doing to look after yourself a little bit more. And finally, I do like to utilize different terrain in this early stage of a block. I have very much got into my head that when we get into a specific phase, on the final phase of training effectively, as we lead up to that goal race, I do like to get specific with my workouts, race on the type of terrain that I'm going to, which is usually 9 times out of 10 flat and fast concrete. But in these early stages, it certainly does not hurt to be using those undulating terrain, whether it's trails or road, whatever it is, just utilizing that to our benefit. Forget pace. I often find that really helps in the early stages, because again, it takes 2 or 3 weeks to get back up to speed. And not only that, it does build strength if we can get out there. I'm very fortunate where I live. I do have plenty of trails on my doorstep. And so far in this training block, I've only used them once, but they'll potentially get used a lot more over the coming weeks too. And yeah, when I get specific, that's the time that I really dial in and lock into the terrain that I want to run on. But for now, in the early stages, using those softer surfaces as we can, again, can really help in these early stages of our training blocks. And so all the above that I've just talked about are things that have really helped me over the years, and you can take this last one with a pinch of salt, because I kind of think it's a good thing and a bad thing, and I've had plenty of comments from you guys saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just the way I'm wired, and it really does help me. I love to have a future goal. So for me already, I've got my autumn marathon booked, so I know what I'm going to be going into post this training block. I also had a lot of these races in mind when I was doing my London Marathon training. Now when I'm producing my training series, I would often say, oh, I'm really excited about what's in the future, you know, what the next race is. And some of you would say, oh, that's great, can't wait to see you there. I can't wait to get back into speed as well. And other people would say, hey, live in the moment. You're in the training block you're in right now. And so that's what I mean. It's good and bad. Sometimes I forget to live in the moment, and that's where I have to put my hands up a little bit. But on the flip side, for me, that's what keeps the fire burning. If I have a future goal, it means those transitions through training blocks are seamless. And so I recommend for some of you guys, it may or may not work. I'm just going to throw that one out there. It really helps me just to have something to keep my eye on past the current race that I'm training for. So there we go. Those are my tips from transitioning from marathon training down to shorter distances like 5 and 10K. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. It's a well discussed one, and I'd love to hear what you can share with other people too. Please do drop a comment below. It'd be great to hear from you down there, and I'll certainly be reading all of them to see if there's anything I can add to my repertoire. And I hope you guys can take something away from this video. I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate you for watching. Can't wait to share the next training series video with you. I hope you guys are following along with that one too. And of course, I have a race this weekend, which I'm very, very excited about. That's it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do consider giving it a like, sharing it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. I'll see you on the next one.